Okay, it's been a grind. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to have done a bit more videos, but I'll try to do it today, just because it's been a full pull. I'm just planting winter wheat right now with the Avatar. Not much different than planting any other crop with the Avatar, other than because this air seeder that we have that plants wheat, the big tank behind me there has two bins in it. One's for fertilizer, this is the way we have it set up, and the other one's for seed. So when we plant crops here in Ontario, even if our soil test levels are fairly good for phosphorus, P, we still like to put a starter amount down just to help the crop have some kind of instant access to phosphorus to get it going quick here in the fall and in the spring. We use it for corn as well. But it just kind of gives us a little bit of a punch jump start for our winter wheat here, because we wanted to have a decent shape, or at least somewhat established with a decent root system before it goes into winter. So today is October 6th. We've been doing beans since Sunday. Today is Thursday. So it's been a full pull. We've taken off close to 400 plus acres of soybeans, and then I've been chasing the combine with the air seeder at night and in the morning. So it's been keeping me out of trouble. I'm a little tired. I'm gonna leave the sunglasses on because my eyes look like I was in a 10-round heavyweight boxing fight. They're pretty black and blue. So yeah, just doing that this morning. And we're putting on, for us, we kind of, as we get later in the fall, we tend to plant a little heavier on the seed amount for winter wheat. So we try to plant so many million seeds per acre. Right now we're planting 1.5. I'm pretty comfortable with that. And we're putting down 100 pounds of MAP, phosphorus, like I said, fertilizer for the wheat. In furrow, so what in furrow means is that we're placing the seed and fertilizer together, and we're not too concerned because the salt index, which can impact the root system on the wheat, is low on MAP, and there's less risk to get fertilizer burn. So kind of complicated, kind of quick, moving really fast, haven't really had much time to take a breath, but that's what I'm up to right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about our soybean harvest because it's kind of hard, because I don't have a camera right now other than my phone, to really take footage and talk while I'm combining, because you have to be very diligent about watching the header, the soybeans coming in, and the risk of the odd time the header or the reel that you see that kind of goes around in a circle that sweeps the soybeans into the head. Sometimes they will actually flip a stone into the header, and stones and combines are a terrible mix, and we don't want that. So far I've been, knock on wood, lucky not to have put too many stones into the combine. We have a thing called a stone trap, so as it's coming into the combine, the front area is the feeder house, and it basically brings the crop in, and there's a little stone thing before it goes into the main body of the combine that flips stones down into the stone trap. Yeah, so we're kind of been full bore at soybean harvest since basically last Sunday, which would have been, I don't know what day it is. Today is Saturday, so I guess 7 days. We kind of had a day off yesterday because it was a little misty rain and we couldn't really go. So we went 5 days straight. Sandy and I, and Monty was helping us out around the grain cart, and then I was planting wheat. So it was a full pull and pretty tired. So couple of nights to catch up on sleep, and we're back at it. But we're just in crusher beans. The crusher soybeans that we're combining right now are go to get crushed or squeezed for the oil, and then what's left over is called soy meal, and that soy meal goes into the feed industry. So they're just kind of a crusher bean, nothing special about them. We have grown IP soybeans before, which are kind of like a clear Highland or a special identity soybean, basically, that we get paid a premium for. Most of those beans are not Roundup ready. They're just conventional, where crusher beans are Roundup ready usually. So we don't have any of these IP beans this year. We're all crush. And then what we were combining mostly this week, as I'm just unloading right here, we were combining seed soybeans. So what I mean by seed soybeans is that we're growing soybean seed that will be cleaned and treated and sold to farmers for next year's crop. So we're growing them for Corteva, Pioneer. So we're growing some seed beans for Pioneer. So that's what we combined last week. It was a hell week, I'm not gonna lie. So I didn't really film much. So now we're in crushers. It's a little bit more relaxing. We don't have to worry about the sample or the quality of the soybeans that are in the tank as much, because crush are not as picky as seed. So I have a little bit more time to have a chat with you about what I'm doing. So yeah, surprisingly the soybeans have been yielding respectably, considering how dry we were this past summer. So it's a kind of a pleasant surprise. But yeah, so we have about two and a half days left of soybeans and 60 acres of wheat to plant. So this year we had close to 700 acres of soybeans, which is a little high for us, partly because we didn't get wheat planted, as much wheat we wanted to get planted last fall because it was wet. So that's why we kind of been going like mad hatters, trying to keep the drill going at night and in the morning when we're not combining, so make sure that we get the wheat planted. So it's been it's been a really good productive week. It's just been really busy, and as I said, I haven't really had much of a chance to film. So and there's really not much to talk about in here when I combine soybeans. I just go up and down the field, make sure the sample looks good in the back. So just to give you some perspective on kind of acres per day and what we do in terms of soybeans when we harvest, is a good day for us. If you're working in a big field and long rounds, you're not turning around all the time, we can get pretty easy 110 acres done a day. When you get into smaller fields or fields that aren't really square, that are really weirdly shaped, it takes a long time to kind of open them up. And what I mean by open them up is like going around the outside of them and getting the headlands off, so then you can start going up and down and you have an area to turn on. So when it's really oddly shaped, it takes a while to get around all those, and then sometimes they're short rounds and you're turning all the time, so you're not very productive. So we had a pretty good week. We had a couple days that we were 100 acre days, a couple 90 acre days, and there's a day or two that were just 60 acres, which is pretty good, because when you have a low acre day combining, you usually have a higher acre day planting wheat. So the one day that we stopped kind of around 6 o'clock after doing about 60 acres, it was just Sandy and I working together, so we were just filling wagons. I was able to hop out and plant 60 acres of wheat that night. So that morning I was caught right up to the combine with the air seeder, and a lot of the wheat was planted to that point. So it's kind of good and bad. The priority for us is always to get the crop off the field. That's what pays the bills. But it's also really important for us to get winter wheat in, because it's good for our rotation. Usually we're corn, soybeans, or some type of bean, and then winter wheat. And then when we have winter wheat, it comes off in July. We're able to empty all the manure storages and get it spread on the wheat and stubble. And you do it when the ground's dry and fit, grow a cover crop, and then we can strip till into it to plant corn in the following year. So that's why, we rush to kind of get wheat in right behind the combine after the beans are off, because it's a pretty critical part of our crop rotation. And workload helps spread out the workload. And that's kind of why this year we're stuck with 700 acres of soybeans. Normally it'd be about 500, so we a couple hundred extra acres of soybeans. So, and it's been going good. We're just kind of rushing a little bit right now because the weather is talking about changing and going wet for 3 or 4 days here, kind of this coming Tuesday night, Wednesday. So we kind of want to be done beans by then. So, yeah. That's just kind of what Sandy and I keep ourselves out of trouble. And with Monty is an older gentleman that's always worked for our family. He worked for my grandfather, he worked for my dad, he's worked for me. So he's kind of helped out. Jess and the kid, Jack and Jess, have been around when he's been helping out. So he's had the blessing, I guess, or the curse of dealing with 4 generations of us. So it's kind of cool. But he comes out and runs a buggy for us, which has been a big help. So Sandy runs the wagons, and I run the combine. Monty runs the buggy. So it helps us get a lot done in a day, and I think that's why we can get some good acres done in a day with soybean harvest, is that we run a buggy, so the combine's always going. So yeah, that's kind of the scoop. If there's anything fascinating I come up with to think about and tell you, I'll bring you back, and we'll chat then. So I'm on my last official dump for soybeans on the go. We're gonna be wrapping up soybeans here tonight. We're kind of pushing it a little bit because we want to be done today, being Thanksgiving Monday here in Canada. And as you can tell, it's dark. The beans are starting to get tough, which means they go through the they go through the combine a lot harder. And I gotta watch for stones and all the other good stuff with the lights on. So last few days have been a little bit more difficult than normal. It's a holiday weekend here in Canada, like I said, Thanksgiving, and we had a couple minor hiccups on the combine. One was I put a rock into it on Thursday, and it bent some slats on the feeder house, and basically the head pulls all the crop in, and it goes into this little throat, basically much like a human throat. So like, it's the mouth that eats the beans going into the combine. It has a chain in it that's got metal slats across it to bring it into the combine, and I had a stone that hit it, and it bent like 4 or 5 of them, and it was causing problems later on. But 2 days later, I think it stretched the feeder house chain, so then it was loose and it was slapping on the floor of the feeder house. So we got that fixed yesterday, and then today I had a little set screw fall out on a piece of metal that goes around, and it tells a sensor that there's a piece moving on the combine. So because that piece wasn't moving, the combine's like, that thing's not working, and it starts beeping and yelled at you. So I got that fixed, and that's kind of about it, other than then a few little issues with the header. There's these little knives, they're like a little triangle that are in the front that go back and forth really fast to cut the crop. Broke a few of those. Last year I didn't break one. This year I think I broke like 10, just the way the year went. So I'm just gonna shut you off here a second. I'm gonna turn around and head back on the last pass. So yeah, I'm just kind of showing you the last pass here. But yeah, so we did 685 acres of soybeans, I think, in 9 days. I think that's what Sandy said. She kept track of it more than I did. So we had a really good soybean harvest. Yields were surprisingly good for us. Just lucky that we got some rainfall in August. And yeah, happy to be done. Got to plant 60 acres of wheat tomorrow, which is kind of nice because I have all day to plant wheat before the rain comes in tomorrow night. So we should get that done, no problem. And then we're just kind of waiting for corn, which is going to be a couple weeks yet. So that's kind of where we're at. That's soybean harvest for 2022. I might make a better effort to do some better videos for corn. It's a little less taxing because less to watch when you're combining corn. So anyways, with that, we'll see you later.